Hello, I'm Dave Mowitz and welcome to Successful Farming. On today's program, I'm heading to auction to track the sale of a popular John Deere chore tractor, the model 5325. Then we feature a farmer innovator from Arkansas who re-employed a service truck boom crane in his shop. The shark farmer, Rob Sharkey, is back talking about advocating for agriculture. And after these brief messages, we feature foods that are hot with millennials. Bacon, beer, and cheese are the hottest of the cool foods these days. So please stay tuned.
Farmers and ranchers like you work every day to feed the world, but are you in tune with what the world wants to eat and drink? Today we're focusing on 3 cool foods that are particularly popular amongst American consumers right now: cheese, bacon, and craft beer, and how farmers and ranchers are and should be capitalizing on this opportunity. As traditional milk sales struggle, cheese is thriving. On average, American cheese consumption is the highest it's been since the USDA started tracking it in 1975. Americans are eating 35 pounds of cheese each annually, and cheesemonger C.J. Beanert has seen that popularity firsthand in his local cheese shop.
Cheese is not a trend. I know that we want to say it's trending, and it may be gaining in popularity, and that's only because we're a young civilization and we haven't had the time to just fully educate ourselves on all the delicious and amazing things the world has to offer. For the longest time, and early in my career, it was just Eurocentric European cheeses. We're seeing an uptick in American artisan cheeses and in their quality at the same time. Now, with milk prices being at record lows and kind of being very volatile, farms closing, a lot of farms are looking, they love the farm life, they love the farm, multi-generations on that farm. They're not just gonna, walk away and abandon everything. They're looking at value adding. And on a dairy farm, it's with dairy, fermented dairy products or ice cream. Cheese is something that makes a lot of sense.
I'm Kevin Dietzel. I am the farmer and cheesemaker here at Lost Lake Farm in Jewell, Iowa. We are an 80-acre farm. Most of our farm is in perennials, pasture and hay, and we have right now 18 cows. We milk the cows once a day, and we turn all the milk into cheese right here on farm. People like supporting things that they feel are supporting small businesses within their local community, and supporting what they see as a family farm, which we are. I mean, we're a family that runs this farm. So I think people like that idea, economically, rather than supporting some big, factory farm and factory cheese production that's coming from who knows where. They like the idea of knowing who's raising the cows and who's making the cheese. That's really cool. And so I think people are willing to pay a little bit more for it. What makes it artisan is the fact that every step of the process involves hand work, and it involves feeling the vat, feeling the cheese, and smelling it, and I'll take little samples and taste it to see how sour it is and and to see what the stage is, and so there are just so many things that when you scale it up, things have to be standardized a little bit more, and so that gives us maybe sometimes some variability, but it gives us also more attention to the details to make a really good quality product.
And here in Iowa, we have some of the richest land in the world, and that's why we grow some of the most amazing, crops. We can also produce some really amazing cheese. So we're finding there's a lot of great producers, and it's growing just here in the Midwest. But really, you're seeing that uptick and that growth across the United States. So our shop, we're 70% American artisan. The goal of the shop is to be 100%. And we believe that can happen in my lifetime. So that's a goal. And as I was saying, we connect a lot with our producers. We also work a lot with producers that are just looking at starting up and helping them as far as, scaling, how much cheese and what prices and how should they sell these cheeses. Because wholesale, direct to consumer, there's a lot of, different, a lot of things to consider in that business. And it's a lot for any one producer to not only, milk all their animals and make all the cheese, but then to market it and know how to sell it.
As cheese experiences a bump in popularity, bacon feels that same love. U.S. consumers continue to look for new ways to include bacon in their diets and flock to events like the Blue Ribbon Bacon Festival in Des Moines, Iowa, to celebrate their love of the tasty pork product.
My name is Brooks Reynolds. I'm the founder and chairman of the Iowa Bacon Board, the head of the Blue Ribbon Bacon Festival. We have the largest bacon festival in the world here in Des Moines, Iowa at the Iowa Event Center. It's our 10th anniversary. This year's theme is the good, the bad, and the bacon. We've got about 10,000 people here celebrating all things bacon.
Do you think it's helping consumers understand where bacon is really coming from, or the pork producers and the work that goes into it and where it comes from on a pig? What do you think?
I think so. I think they're drawn here because of the taste of bacon, and they love bacon and lots of things. But I do think that we talk about where it comes from on the hog and what it takes to raise pork efficiently and with good food safety. And so I think it's a great way of promoting pork, of raising the visibility and the understanding, but it's fun too.
How has this event changed in the 10 years that it's been going on?
Well, when we first started, we only had about 150 people. Now we have well over 10,000. We've had almost 50,000 people attend our events. We do events all over the world, Iceland, Colorado. We're thinking about going overseas to Japan. We've done Las Vegas. We do bike rides now. We love bacon. We love supporting Iowa farmers, and we try to educate the consumer as much as possible of where their bacon comes from, and just having a lot of fun.
Bacon has plenty of fans, but so does craft beer. Hop growers in Michigan are tapping into the consumer love for unique local beers by offering craft breweries a variety of homegrown, flavorful hops to include in their beers.
Beer is easy, right? You go to the store, it's in the 6-pack, you pick it up, you open it, you drink it, but everything in there is comes from an ingredient that came from a grower somewhere. So it isn't just invented. It's not synthesized in a tank at a chemical company. It starts in the ground.
Well, without agriculture, obviously you can't have beer. There's no barley, there's no wheat, there's no hops. I think that they go hand in hand. We're really proud to use all of our two-row malts from Pilot Malt House, which is a malt house from Michigan, and we're trying to access as many hops from Michigan as we can, as well as yeast.
5 years ago, the craft beer consumer wasn't as knowledgeable as they are today. They're starting to understand more what to expect in different beers. For example, hop varieties are probably the biggest one, where there's so many different hop varieties out there, and people are starting to understand which hop does which flavors and aromas that they like.
So Hophead Farms is a completely vertically integrated company. So we farm the hops, we pick, dry, bale, pelletize, package, store, market, and sell all the way up.
We try and use strictly Michigan product wherever possible. Hophead Farms is obviously one of the big ones in here, and they keep adding different hop farms all over Southwest Michigan. So it's really exciting to kind of post that we use their products. I think people, especially in the local areas, really enjoy drinking local as much as they can.
Well, I think that the popularity of craft beer is partly because there's a lot of passionate, dedicated people that, along the last couple of decades chose to kind of put their necks out there and make more interesting beer. So first of all, it has to be there for it to grow, and there are people that put that forward. I also think that it's not just beer, that this is part of a larger cultural shift to people wanting to connect to what they buy. So it's happening all throughout food and drink. But it's also happening beyond that. I think overall there's a consciousness that's growing. People miss some of the old days where you knew your butcher and your baker and your brewer. And I find that as a culture we're coming back to that, but we're coming back to that with modern market and technology and tools, so it's able to really grow in a very dynamic way.
Thanks for that great report, Anna. Who knew bacon, beer, and cheese are the cool foods with kids these days? Are you looking for a good used chore tractor? Then join me at auction to see what a John Deere 5325 equipped with a loader sells for. So please stay tuned. Welcome to Steel Deals. I'm attending an auction at Steffes Auctioneers' Mount Pleasant, Iowa facility, and this dandy utility tractor caught my eye. Actually, it's causing my bidding finger to itch as well. You see, I'm in the market for a utility tractor just like this, John Deere 5325. It was built between 2005 and 2008, and it's packing a 67 horsepower 5-cylinder diesel engine. It also has lots of bells and whistles to attract buyers, like front-wheel drive, an air-conditioned cab, and best yet, John Deere's Model 542 self-leveling loader. Boy, I could sure fall in love with the self-leveling loader doing bucket work. I'm not the only person to appreciate this tractor, as it's a crossover piece of equipment, being sought by farmers as well as acreage owners alike. Thus, I have a feeling it's going to bring a pretty penny at today's sale. You see, this 12-year-old tractor has just over 1,900 hours on its tack, and it appears to be very well taken care of. In anticipation of today's sale, and to tempt my bidding finger, I hit the internet looking for pricing information on tractors similar to this tractor. On the auction side, I found a 2006 tractor with just over 1,900 hours that recently sold in Missouri. Its final bid was $26,400. And what about dealer asking prices? Well, price pickings was far more fruitful with dealers. I discovered 5 tractors, again equipped just like this, with hours ranging from 1,200 up to 2,200 hours. Those tractors' asking prices range from $32,000 up to $35,000. See, that's the beauty of the internet. You can price shop ahead of a sales like this, and then either bid at auction or bargain with a dealer with confidence. And for good measure, I'm going to ask Steffes Auctioneers expert Tim Meyer for his opinion on pricing. Tim, we're looking at that 5325 John Deere. It's a really nice utility tractor. The thing is that could sell either to a livestock farm or an acreage farm. Does that kind of put a price floor to it?
Well, it definitely brings in a larger market. I think that tractor would lend itself well to a farming operation, you know, as a second tractor or a chore tractor. It's interesting to me that a 68 horse tractor, close to that, it's important. Guys really appreciate a cab nowadays. So I think that tractor is going to be interesting to see sell.
Man. To get a little background on a tractor like that, should the buyer that's interested maybe get a hold of you to get the background, who owned it previously, how it had been cared for, any information like that? Is that important to get?
Absolutely. They're always welcome to call Steffes, and we'll give out the seller's information if we have it. Sometimes it's an estate and we don't have as much information.
Now, see, here's the hard part for me, is because I'm interested in the tractor and I'm going to have a hard time not bidding, so I'll probably just keep at my job and avoid this. But I'm interested in that 5325. What do you think? What is the range that it'll go for tomorrow?
Well, I think that tractor is probably going to bring in the mid to low 20s.
Thanks for the information, Tim. Let's go watch the 5325 sell.
Put your in $10,000, 12 5, look down, 15, look down, 75, 20, 8, 20, 10, 22, 5, look at 22, 5, look at 22, 5, look down, 5, 8, 25, look at 20, 43, 4, 8, 23, look at 4, look down, 5, 25, look down, 600, 8, 26, 26, 7, 7, look at 27, 8, 26, 7, 7, look at 7, 27, 10, 26, 10, 27, 7, look at 7, 27, 10, 27, 8, 26,000, $27,000, 8, 26, 10, 26, 5, look at the last call, 8, 26,000. $26,500, look at hands high, $26,500. Sold the tractor, $26,000, put on number 336, the buyer. Thanks for bidding and buying.
Well, I'm having a lack of not bidding regret. This 5325 brought a final price of $26,000, and that was well within my budget. That's the challenge of covering auctions for a television program. More times than I can count, I've seen deals slip through my fingers. What I should have done was had Tim Meyer or one of his ringmen buy the tractor for me. Shoot, these days I could have lived 5 states away and bought equipment with confidence, either bidding online or through the phone via an auctioneer. The internet age has made purchasing used equipment so much easier. For starters, You can do in-depth price comparisons, shopping ahead of time of the sale and also before going to a dealer's lot. Remember, I mentioned that a tractor similar to this one had sold for $26,400 at a recent auction. And an internet search found similar tractors being listed at dealer asking prices from $32,000 up to $35,000. Yep, I'm feeling lack of not bidding regret, but I've learned my lesson. First, be prepared to bid by researching prices ahead of the sale. Well, at least I got that right. What I didn't get done was register for a bid card. You can catch my used equipment reports in every issue of Successful Farming magazine. For more information about the Steffes Group, you can go to the website at steffesauctioneers.com. I'll see you next week on another Steel Deals Report. After these brief messages, we feature how an Arkansas farmer repurposed a service truck hoist in his shop.
I'm Stephen Garber from Marion, Arkansas. I took a large knuckle boom crane that was intended for a truck and adapted it to operate on, bolt it to my shop floor and run it with electric motor and a pump. We had a contractor come in and cut a hole in the floor, and we dug it out, and he put rebar in there, and I fabricated the stud pattern to secure the crane to the floor. And then we put everything together, and he put the concrete in, and everything came out good, and set the crane on the bolts and secured everything. It operates with an electric motor, 30 horsepower electric motor, and hydraulic pump, and right now it's manually controlled, and we can use it to operate to pick up, remove engine transmissions from trucks, any application we need, respecting the capacity of the crane rating. It's very, very handy and maneuverable. I can extend it out to reach all over my shop and also turn it around and reach 20 foot out the door. Now this crane is made to be folded up behind the cab of a truck. And I have a workbench next to the crane, and I elected to put a support pole and leave it extended out somewhat, that it supported the pole, or the pole supported the crane, so that it didn't creep down in the middle of the night and set the alarm off. And it was easier and it didn't take up as much room as it would have been if it had to fold it up every time. Maintenance is minimal because this unit is not exposed to the elements. Grease it every so often and change a hydraulic filter on the oil tank. With the crane and the installation of concrete and electrical components to make it, and pump to make it work, around $15,000. What would make this really handy would be have remote control. That would have manual control at this time. It's okay, but it would be handy to have remote control. And that's an additional cost. It can be added. For more about this idea and other farmer inventions, go to agriculture.com/TV.
Let's check in on the Shark farmer, Rob Sharkey, about advocating for agriculture.
Let's talk about the word agvocate. That's agvocate. And I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, what the heck's an agvocate? To me, it's always sounded like a painful way to stir a drink. But it's the word advocate with a G instead of a D. So you're advocating for agriculture. Agvocate. It's a word that has created a lot of controversy within the whole agriculture community, mainly because there are people that are telling other people how to farm under the guise of being an advocate. There's no one that can tell a farmer or rancher story better than themselves. They know the ins and outs of their business like nobody else. Now, does that mean that a non-farmer can't be an advocate? Well, let's look at the world's most famous non-farming advocate. That spider from Charlotte's Web. Here you've got this bug that is wanting to promote her porcine friend from being the guest of honor at a barbecue. So she ran up a pole, she made a web, and in that web she wrote the word terrific, and then some pig, and whatever else she's writing on there. So people from all the counties would come around, they would look at this, they would see the web up there, they would look at the pig, and they go, oh, well there's a terrific pig, or oh, there's some pig. It was all in the wording and how she promoted it. Now it didn't come easy to her. She had her rodent friend Templeton go to the dump, get some magazine articles and stuff like that so she could get the right word. The last thing she would want to do is put the word bacon up there in the web, because people would look at the web and go, oh, bacon. Well, I'm hungry now. She was very careful about the words she used to help protect her friend. We in agriculture have to be the same. We can't be using words like poison or toxic when we're talking about how we raise crops, because there's a lot of people that are afraid of the way modern agriculture raises their food. Unfortunately today, we don't have some mutated spider that is willing to promote her self-absorbed porcine friend. All we have is ourselves. But we do have other people out there who are willing to support us, people who are not involved in agriculture. So should we be upset when someone who's not involved in agriculture or ranching wants to call themselves an advocate? I say we look at more of what they're saying and less of what they're calling themselves. If they're coming out with a positive message that's going to support us, well then we need to embrace that. With only 1 to 2% of the population being farmers, we need every voice we can get. We need every voice that's going to help us counteract the voices of our opposition. You know, in that book, they say that spider saved that pig. I think we all know it's fiction. I think we know they ate that pig. I'm Rob Sharkey, host of the Shark Farmer Podcast. You can find my podcast at sharkfarmer.com. You can find more videos like this at agriculture.com/TV.
Please join us next week for another outstanding show. Our farmer evaluators give us their opinions on a couple of tools we had them review as part of our product testing project. I head to auction to track down the latest values being given on hopper bottom semi-truck grain trailers. And the show presents an exclusive report on the very tractor that tire innovator Harvey Firestone drove on his farm in Ohio. See you next week right here on Successful Farming.